This is an APX8000 Motorola clone by HamGeek. I found this on eBay. It is not nearly the price of a Motorola Apex radio. It's a dual band radio that's made in China, right there. And I've been tinkering around with it for the last, last couple hours today, just kind of get ready for the video. And I think it's got some cool features to it. But if you're frustrated because Motorola radios are so expensive, I'm going to show this to you, which might be an alternative, but I'm also going to tell you why I think it's probably maybe worth it is not the right word, why Motorola's are so expensive and what value you get over something like this. Stay tuned. So this is the APX8000. This is really cool. I like the fact that it comes with this device here that go on your belt clip, and then this just drops down inside of it like that, and you can wear that on your belt clip and then easily pull that out like that. Easy access if you're, if you got a belt clip going on. So that was a cool feature to it here. It's got the look of an APX8000 because it's got the screen here, which you can turn it off and on like that. That's the screen there. Obviously, that's the buttons. It's got an extra screen on top here like the Apex radios do. So that's kind of fun. It's got a microphone right here so you can talk in from this side. And it's got a microphone right here so you can talk in from that side. And it's got dual PTT buttons right here. This one will key the radio up. And then this one will key the same band up. So I thought maybe one of them would control the top band and one of them would control the bottom band, but no, they're both, you can see it says main right there on the bottom band. So they're both controlling the bottom band. And that just means you can hold it like that and look at this screen, or you can hold it like that and look at this screen. This screen goes off after like 2 or 3 seconds. You can adjust the timeout on that, and I'll show you that here in a second. It has a USB-C programming port right here. And it has a USB-C port on the back of the battery to charge the battery directly. I'm not sure if this programming port will charge the radio or not. I kind of think it won't, but I haven't tried it yet. Oh, you're going to have to get a... Wow, it did come with the USB-C cable. This white cable right there. I wonder if that'll fit in there. Yeah, that does fit. So the head of this cable is too large to go in there. So let's see. Let's plug this up and see if it... This might just be for programming. I don't know why else it would have 2 USB ports on it. So we turn that on. It doesn't really show a charging indicator on the face of the radio, so I'm guessing, no, that's not going to charge it. But if you plug it in back here, this will charge it, and you'll have a little indicator light right there that tells you it's charging. So no charging indicator on the screen, nothing like that, but you can charge the battery itself via USB-C, the cable that comes with it at least, or maybe a cable with a smaller head on it than that one. This is somewhat waterproof because it comes with a small screwdriver that you can use right here to take this battery off. This battery drops out. There's not any FCC number behind it, so I'm sure this thing's not really legit for sale. But since Part 97 doesn't require a certified radio, I can use it if I want to. I programmed a few frequencies in it, and quite frankly, I was surprised at how easy it was to program. I was wondering if it would be something difficult to program, but honestly, I thought it was pretty darn easy to program. These are programmable buttons. You can go into the menu here. Menu. Wow, that's loud. Okay, so it's got 46 presets in here. SETP is your step, so it'll go down to 5 kilohertz steps. It will do the 12.5 kilohertz steps, so that's good. It will not do 2.5 kilohertz steps, though. I think I set mine at 5. There we go. Squelch, save, transmit power. It claims that it will do 12 watts. Here is the eBay page that I got it from. HamGeek APX8000 12-watt walkie-talkie radio with dual PTT duplex working mode. That means it works repeaters. I've yet to see a radio that is newer design that won't work duplex offsets. That means when you key up, it keys up an offset of plus or minus 600 kilohertz for the 2-meter band, or plus or minus 5 megahertz for the 440 band, or plus 5 megahertz for the GMRS band. I don't know. I think that's just kind of a marketing gimmick there, but they do advertise it as a 12-watt HT. That's the little green screwdriver right there that it comes with. And for $100. $100. And I found this, and I'm like, I'm poking around on eBay looking at other stuff. I found this, and I'm like, okay, I got to try that. That just kind of looks really cool. So we're going to give that a shot here in just a second and go through the rest of the menu. And transmit power, it does have a Roger beep. Hey, there you go. Timeout timer, Vox, wide, narrow, voice. You can turn this voice off. Frequency and channel. You can go in here. I programmed this button on the side over here to change back between VFO and memory channels. So channel MDF, I don't know what that does. You press that and it doesn't go anywhere. I didn't look at the manual yet. Transmit and receive both CTCSS and DCS, so it's got all that there. Offset direction for a repeater offset direction. Offset frequency. Display setting. You can change it to single or double, so you can display both bands at the same time or one. Let's see. Language, it'll do Chinese or English. It came in English. This is pretty cool. You can turn the beep off right there. This is pretty cool. Display mode, you can turn it to white. So to do a white display, and that's really bright right there. Most people these days like this nighttime, they call it nighttime display. So I'm just planning on leaving mine right there. But you have that option if you want it for whatever. Busy channel lockout, Vox delay, SC revision, lock mode, auto lock the screen. Tone, it'll do 4 different tones, 100 hertz, 1450, 1750, and 21 hertz for subaudible tones. PF1 long press, that's this button right here. It doesn't have a PF1 short press menu. I thought that was strange, but it did. I didn't find that one in the menu at all. PF2 short press, which is the bottom button on the side over here. This is PF1, this is PF2, and then PF2 long press. So you can set all those there. Memory channel, you can write to the memory channel from there. Delete the channel, repeater switch, repeater RCT, scramble, a compander, okay. Frequency scan of version. Version is 1.2.240330 this time of this recording, and then you can reset the whole thing. So I changed this one as a long press to go. We're in yeah, I think that's VFO mode right there. Oh, we're on the bottom band. Yeah, so we're in VFO mode. So I can long press this and go to channel mode. This channel 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I programmed in here myself. These are local 2-meter repeaters to me. I can hold this down again. Tell me the channel number. I don't know. Some people might like to see that. I don't find that useful myself. Hold it down again. And it changes back to channel mode again. And I'm like, I don't know the difference. Maybe if you were to put... There's not a way to put a name into the radio unless it's done via software. There's not a way to do it in the menu that I've found yet. And then if you go to this one, it changes to channel mode. And it has the menu down here at the bottom has the frequency display just like right there next to it. So I guess it tells you, you can tell which band it's on. And it's got a main right there that'll tell you which band it's on, but I don't know why it would list it down there again. Maybe if you have a name right here, then it'll tell you what the frequency is right there. So there's a different display option, which is kind of fun. But that's what it is, what it looks like right there. I want to put it on the meter and put it on the TinySA and see what it looks like. Okay, I have this hooked up to my MFJ 849 meter. Probably going to be changing this meter out soon for one of the Intellitron meters. This was donated to me by MFJ a long time ago, so I've got 146.52 and 446.0. I tried to transmit on the 220 band. This radio is locked out of the 220 band, so it won't transmit there, but it will transmit on GMRS. It's advertised as 12 watts. It's not quite doing that much. We're going to go with the 146.520 band at first, 2-meter simplex, so it's doing about 7.5 watts right there. SWR looks good. Going into a dummy load, no problem there. You can see it fluctuating. That's fine. It's only got 2 power settings, low and high. And if I go in here to transmit power, and that's high, and that's low there, back there, transmit here, there. So about 3.5 watts on low power and about 7.5 watts on high power. That's not bad. 7.5 watts. Most HTs will do 5 to 8 watts. Something like that. So 7.5 to 8 watts is not bad, but it's not the advertised 12 watts that it says it is. However, on the 440 band, I got much better results. Here's what we're doing on 446.3.0. All right, so we're going to do about 9.5 watts there. Okay, I found this out the hard way. If I go down to 436 and key up, there's your 12 watts right there. Almost 13 watts, 12.5, almost 13 watts on 436, which is inside of the ham radio band. And that's where a lot of data transmissions go. A lot of times your hotspots, maybe your Sherry All-Star or your Pi Star stuff will go down there or something like that. So, okay, that's still inside the amateur radio band. I'm going to go to 462.550. and right there, and I'm going to key that up. And it does 10.5, almost 11 watts, well, just over 10 watts, in the GMRS section of the band. So it does lower power on the 446 or 441. I tested both 446 and 441. It does lower power on both of those bands than it does, and that's where the FM portion of the 440 amateur radio band is 440 to 450. 440 to 449,995 or something like that. Most of your repeaters are in that range. You can do FM down around 437, 438, 436, something like that. My own personal Sherry node is on 437.55 simplex. So you can do FM down there, especially if it's low power and whatnot. But, you know, most of your repeaters are going to be 440 or higher. So it's actually doing less power in that section of the band than it is elsewhere. Okay, so that's that. It does not do the advertised 12 watts. But, well, it doesn't do the advertised 12 watts on 2 meters for sure. But I don't know, man. I think that's still pretty darn good, because it's 7.5 watts on 2 meters and 10-ish watts on 440. And then, of course, you can do 10-ish watts on GMRS if you want to. I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying I advise it. But, you know, that's, yeah, you can if you did it, I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to come knocking on your door saying, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. I don't really care. All right, let's put it on the TinySA and see what happens. While I get this set up, I want to tell you that today's video is sponsored by Mezzi and Poloni Coax. Mezzi and Poloni makes some of the best coax for the amateur radio market and for GMRS. I've gotten a couple of comments on different videos lately about what's the best coax to use for a GMRS base station. And my answer to that is pretty much the largest diameter coax that you can run in your current situation. If you can only run some like 5-inch coax, then do that, or 5 millimeter coax, I should say. Mezzi and Poloni's from Italy. That's how they're measured in millimeters. They have Airborne 5, and the 5 means 5 millimeter. They have Ultraflex and Hyperflex 7 and 10, I think. The 10 millimeter is a little bit harder to come by, but the 5 millimeter is easier to run in like a vehicle application. The 7 millimeter is a little bit larger, a little bit thicker, a little bit lower loss in longer runs, and that's what typically I would recommend for somebody setting up a base station. Set it up one time and you don't have to mess with it anymore. Mezzi and Poloni Coax, you can always get a 20% discount with the coupon code of HR2 Cables at the link in the description below. So thank you, Mezzi and Poloni, for supporting this channel. What I'm going to have to do is make sure this thing is set on low power. I don't want to push 10 or 12 watts into this TinySA. So we're on the bottom band right now. Let's start on the top band. Let's start on 2 meters. 2 meters is where most of these radios are dirty, and then on 220 and 440, the ones that will do 220, they're usually a lot cleaner on those bands than they are on 2 meters. So I suspect this one is going to be, okay, it's on low power already. I expect this one is going to be dirty on 2 meters like the rest of them are. So let's go to measure, Harmonic 146.52 megahertz, and then we'll go over here and we'll go to level minus 40 times 1. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to key up and let it do its thing. Yeah, see, you can see 3 harmonics already. 4. Number 1 there, that's where it should be. And it's doing exactly what it should do on that first harmonic right there, which is 146.5. It's reading 146.5 right there. The third and the fourth harmonic kind of went away after a couple of seconds, after maybe 4 or 5 seconds. And the second harmonic is down here at just over negative 20, maybe like negative 18. That's not terrible. FCC regulations dictate that it should be around negative 40. So that is not terrible to do. So after holding it down for, probably 30, 40 seconds now, it's still down there. So that's not terrible. That's one of the cleaner signals I've seen coming out of an HT from China. So not where it should be, but not horrible either. So I feel okay transmitting with that on 146.52. I mean, it's only like 7 watts like we saw. It's not like we're transmitting several hundred watts. All right, let's go down here to the bottom band and 462.55, which is the inside of the GMRS band. And again, we're going into a dummy load, guys. We're not actually transmitting outside of the shack, really. 462.55 megahertz. And then we'll go back over here to level minus 40 times 1. Okay. And let me make sure I'm on low power here. I'm on high power, so I don't want that. Low power on 440. And there we go right there. Actually, 462. Technically, it's not even supposed to be transmitting on this band because it's not a GMRS radio. Since it's from out overseas and outside of the USA, it does not have an FCC stamp on it. We can use this stuff in amateur radio because we have experimenter's license, but GMRS is more stringent than that. Okay, so we got the first harmonic there. That's where it should be. That's what we should be seeing over there, number 1 on the right, or on the left, rather. Number 2 is around -10, and then number 4 is around about almost -10 also. Okay, number 2 went away. Number 4 is at like 1.486 gigahertz right now it's transmitting. It's a -10. So it's got a little bit of spurs in there. It's not terrible. It's not the cleanest signal I've seen on GMRS, though. Let's go to 441.000. I'm going to go back here, measure harmonic, and we're going to key up on that. We're still on low power, so we're fine there. And I expect to see, it's probably not going to be a huge difference between 441 and 462. See a little bit of spur over here. That's not a big deal. Number 2 spur is coming way up there. Number 2 spur is almost at 0. That's dropping down now. -10. Again, it should be at -40 way down here. Way down there. Way down there. Okay, it dropped off after a few seconds, maybe 10 or 12 seconds it dropped off. It's got this little itty-bitty one over here, which might not even be accurate. 2.98 gigahertz. Okay. And that overall, that's a fairly clean signal, really. I mean, for a $100 Chinese radio, that's not bad. So I was honestly expecting to see a lot worse than that because this is a total knockoff of a Motorola APX8000 radio. Actually, the APX8000, if I'm not mistaken, will also transmit on the 700 and 800 megahertz band for public safety. So it'll do. There's several different versions of it, and I don't have all the Apex. You Motorola guys can comment on and make a comment in the chat if you want to, in the video if you want to. There's several different versions of handheld Motorola's. Some of them will do VHF and 700-800 megahertz. Some of them will do UHF and 708 megahertz. And I think the 8000 series is actually tri-band. It'll do VHF, UHF, and 700-800 megahertz. And those radios are full open transmitter on all bands because they're Part 90. But the thing you're going to notice with this radio is the rejection, what they call desense, what they call front-end overload. You hear a little bit of static in that. That's the Ulyss repeater 442.900. And I can hit that repeater from low power pretty much anywhere around my house. So it's got a little bit of static in it. KC5 HWB testing. It didn't even come back to me that time. So the receive sensitivity is not as good, and it's picking up a lot of noise, outside noise. I was walking around the house, and it would break the squelch every now and then from just walking around, picking up RFI from various sources, which I have some RFI in my house. But if I use my Yaesu, ICOM, Kenwood, or my Anytone HTs out here in the shack, I don't really notice any of that. Some of the lower-end HTs, the lower-end Fangs, or the lower-end TID radios or something like that, some of those kind of squawk every now and then because they have not as good of what's called desense rejection or harmonics rejection on their receiver. And that's where you're going to find a top-notch radio in a Motorola. Granted, most people don't want to pay several $1,000s for a 5 to 10 watt handheld radio. I don't blame you. I don't own an Apex. If I ever find one for a really good price, I might pick one up, but I've never bought one because they're really expensive. They're good radios. Some of the best radios as far as clean signal, receiver sensitivity, and distance, because you can talk farther if you can hear farther. So you transmit a cleaner signal farther and you receive a cleaner signal because of the sensitivity of these radios. But, you know, for $100, that's not bad. I might have this on my belt walking around Dayton Hamvention, which is next week at the time of this recording. This video won't post before Hamvention. But if you see this and you're curious about it, put a comment below. Let me know that you came up to me and says, "What is that?" I don't even know what that is. Thanks for watching today, guys. 73.